Come on, read it. We got Sando in here.
Rowey.
Me.
Yesterday you said Scott Burns had the Crows job, and now you're calling the new coach Sando like he's your best mate. Does he even know who you are? Brenton Sanderson. Welcome to the program.
Well, answer the first one. Is your nickname still Sando?
I think so, yeah. That's probably the most common one, I think, Rowey, yeah.
Or someone's called you Sandman. Surely it's not Sandman.
No, it's not Sandman, no.
And we were teammates at the Crows.
We did. I think I only played 6 games, but
I think
I
I played in 3 of those. I've looked at them of the 6. So who was that peckerhead? Go and get stuffed.
Don't get out of it. Congratulations, Brenton. Tell us about the process. I mean, you've been through this a little bit, haven't you, with their different clubs? What do you think was different about this time around with Adelaide?
Yeah, thanks, Graham. Thanks for having me on too, guys. It's obviously been a crazy day with the press conference this morning,
Thanks
and
for
then
coming in.
We should thank you. You're the coach of the Crows.
No, I obviously wanted to come in and meet you guys and see you in person, which I think, once again, thanks for having me on. But this for me has probably been 6 to 8 weeks, the process.
Okay.
Obviously, I had to focus completely on what I was doing at Geelong, and the guys are in a prelim final this week, which is fantastic, and I'm sure they're going to do well. But I should say Chris Scott was fantastic in allowing me the opportunity when I got some free time to spend some time and energy on preparing myself for the process. So it is a very long process now. I know just being a senior coach is not just coaching now. You have to be across the whole department, and that's the football club. And, we have to know everything about management and leadership and obviously development, which is going to be really important in Adelaide.
So, but you've got tertiary, you've got a commerce degree.
Commerce degree
does
and
that
pilot's
help?
license. Yeah,
Did it help?
I think what it probably shows is I've got application, and I did that while I was playing. So we mentioned I didn't have a great start to my career, and I probably thought I was never that far away from being delisted, and I was very keen to make sure I was educated and for life after football. And as it has it, I've actually stayed in football, but I think what it shows is that I'm really determined and I know what I want, and I'm pretty keen to get after things.
Well, your teammate Lee Colbert got his pilot licence. Did you do it together?
No, we didn't. I actually was, I guess, inspired by him. It was something that I did when I finished my commerce degree. I just thought I was fascinated with aviation and thought I actually was quite amazed how easy it is to get. Not that it's easy to get, but it's just like getting your car licence, really. You just go to the airport and you have a lesson with an instructor, and after about 20 hours of flying, you go up solo, and it's just a fantastic thing to have.
Well, you can multi-skill with the boys if they have any flights in Drummond. What do you think won the committee over with your presentation? What was there one thing? What was the killer punch? Was there a killer punch? Can you talk us through the presentation?
I probably can't. I don't think there's one thing that sort of gave me the edge over everyone. I think what's important, though, and probably we talked about my setbacks early in my career earlier, but I think what I've been able to do is experience a lot of things as a player, with, changing clubs, suffering with injuries. My first year at Geelong as a player, I was dropped for the 95 grand final. And then I think 5 years later, I was the club champion. So those sort of things, and becoming, part of the leadership group and a vice captain, and then being involved with the grand final successes as a coach, grand final losses, which obviously learn a lot from as well. But I've been around success, and I think I know, or I do know what it takes to win an AFL premiership, and I'm hoping that I can bring that to the Adelaide Football Club.
What's the picture in the supporters' heads, the players' heads, sponsors' heads you want of the Crows? How do you want them to play?
I can't probably sum it up in 1 or 2 words, Rowey, but I think probably the thing you'll see from me through the summer and the players will experience is physicality. I think I said that today in the press conference, that I want to be involved with a side that loves contested ball, that loves putting their head over the footy. And, we know as former players and coaches that you really admire sides when you leave the stadium, win, lose or draw, that you can just sense that the players really had a crack. And I think that competitive edge is what we've got to get back. And that's what I think I'm going to work at. The hardest at over summer is to ensure our players are physically and mentally prepared for a real physical contest.
I'm just forgive me for going into too much detail, but this process now really fascinates me. And can you just tell us? I mean, you get the call, or you get the call. Would you like to present? What happens then?
Well, I think Adelaide. Most of it's done now through obviously coaches have a manager. The managers, I guess, put together a list who they think are people that might be ready, and I think the football clubs then go to those managers and say, who do you look after and who do you think might be a good fit for us? And I think they start with a huge list, and obviously they work their way down. But I spoke to Adelaide probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, and from there, as I've mentioned before, I was already well and truly had the wheels in motion. But then from then I was able to focus on exactly what I wanted to get across to the football club and the selection committee.
So, see that phone call, does that lead to the full presentation, or is there a preliminary meeting first?
Adelaide's process was to have an interview first, which was very informal. That was just to catch up with the group and just to talk footy pretty much just for a few hours about where they thought my coaching philosophy was and how I saw the Adelaide list and where I saw the Adelaide club. And from there,
you imparted on, just sorry for interrupting you, so you imparted this thought about physicality to
definitely,
them
and most definitely,
and probably other stuff.
Yep.
And you see the list as being okay. You've given them an overview of that.
I do really like the list. I think it's obviously young. It's got a lot of players under the age of 22. You know, if you take out the Gold Coast, who are very unique, but I think we're second or third with the most youngest list. So I think we've got a huge ability to improve very quickly.
So then from there, what happens? So you've had that discussion. They're impressed with that. So you come back for the full presentation, or is there something in the middle? I
think the selection committee go back and they obviously identify who they want to present. Presenting is probably takes 30 to 40 hours for me of
preparation.
Actually preparing a. It's probably gone past the PowerPoint now. You've got to have a full video for almost presentation now for how you see all aspects of the football club, not just coaching. You have to be across all areas of the football club. So that's recruiting, that's strength and conditioning, that's media, that's IT. You've got to cover everything now within your process.
So it's a video you put together rather than
I had elements of everything. Yeah. So there was obviously I wanted to show some video of Adelaide playing and some areas that I thought I would coach differently.
Okay. Well, and that takes for how long to present?
For me, I think it took just over an hour, and there was probably an hour and a half of questions, and they obviously grill you and put you on the spot. And for me, quite intimidating too to be standing in a room with obviously Trigg and Pays and Smart and Lee Matthews. You've got some really heavy hitters in there, and they're firing some pretty difficult questions at you, which is great because they put you on the spot and make sure that you're ready and they're the guy that you want.
Do they put you in match condition, match day, like half time, you're 10 points down? What do you?
No, not really. There wasn't sort of much of that stuff would go on. I think what I encouraged them to do was to speak to people that I've worked with, and that's probably the best indicator. So I'm not sure who they spoke to, but I had references like Mark Thompson and Chris Scott, Neil Baum, those sort of people. So I didn't get feedback from that, but I'm sure they did their due diligence.
Well, that's the process. You got the job. How big a change in personnel and footy philosophy do you think the Crows footy department needs? Because there is a fair Neil Craig stamp on that group.
I've got a lot of respect for obviously what Neil did for the football club. I was there obviously today and walked around the club, and I haven't really had a chance yet to sit down and nut everything out with everyone, but there's going to be some meetings over the next few days, which I'll sit through, and we'll, as quick as we can, work out exactly where the club's heading over summer. Because I'm obviously very keen for success, and I think this group's got the ability to spike really quickly. So it's the ability of getting things right and getting on with business straight away.
Craigie's still on the books, PAYG. Would you keep him on?
Neil Craig?
Yeah.
I've got enormous respect for Neil Craig. I think he's fantastic. The times I've met him, I've loved talking to him. He's a real scientist, when it comes to coaching, and I just love the way he handled himself. I think he's one of the great coaches,
So,
are you a fan of the science of the game?
I think there is a science and an art to football, and if you can combine the both, I think you're halfway there.
Well, what do you think went wrong with the Crows over the last 2 years, other than injuries?
That's a good question, Rowey. That was all part of my presentation. That's a good question for you to ask, but probably not a great one for me to answer on air tonight.
Okay, then. Well, what I've noticed is that the Crows get scored heavily on, and when the momentum swings, they can't control that. Yep. Is that something that you've got a plan for, that you can stop, identify, and have in place to change? Because I think a lot of Crows fans would be keen to see that part of the game change.
Yeah. Well, I don't mind telling you my game plan fundamentals, which are not necessarily, things that we have to be too private about. But the biggest thing at the moment, if you're gonna win a premiership, you have to qualify for the 8. If you're going to win a premiership, you've got to qualify probably in the top 4 to give yourself that double chance. But you need a game plan that stands up in September and obviously grand final day. So I don't want to be involved with a club where we play this really attractive brand of footy that's great for our supporters, but then we get to September and we fail. I think we've got to have a game plan that is reliable, that we can go into a finals campaign knowing that it works. So what I've done is analyse what that is, and for me personally, and I've got to consult with the rest of our assistant coaches and our football department, because this is a team effort. But you've got to be a contested ball side, without a doubt. You've got to be able to dispose of the ball effectively. So a lot of clubs now are great in time and space still, but the game now is in a contested situation. There's so much pressure now in AFL footy. I have a defence-first mentality, but I think that's not being too dour. I think some of your best attack comes on the back of great defence. And also, too, I want the players to know that there's certain roles and responsibilities that they've got to play on match day. So make that short, make certain that that's really crystal clear with each player when they go out and play. Can
you replicate that pressure in training you're talking about?
You can. You can do match-simulated drills throughout the summer, and even within your in-season program. Obviously, it's a bit more of a controlled environment because you can't kill each other during the week, but you can certainly replicate that in a controlled environment, and you just got to keep doing it. You've got to make it part of a player's decision-making process, so you just got to keep replicating match-like conditions.
When you said previously it's no good playing attractive footy during the minor round if it doesn't stand up in finals, does that mean your footy's going to be ugly?
Certainly not. No, I hope that didn't come across that way.
We don't care. We don't care if it's ugly, as long as it's successful.
Yeah, I think it's nice. There's probably times when you go to the footy and you want to be entertained, but I've got this vision that when our supporters leave the stadium, that they've loved watching this side have an absolute crack. And that might sound a little bit basic, but I love players that give themselves to the team. I love players that are really honest and can support each other by just putting their head over the footy. Now,
and knock other people's blocks off, Sando.
That's what inspires me, but not. But I probably have to be a bit more sensitive.
The team's been super disciplined under Craig, and a lot of people want them to play a bit on the edge. There's no question about that. But can I just ask one more before the break? If you stack up the Crows list right now, say their best 22, and let's benchmark that against Collingwood's, there's gaps. Where are those gaps? Because you ain't going to win a flag with this squad right now.
I would disagree with that.
Let him go.
Rowey, I think there's...
I want him to disagree, Cornesy. Don't frown at me. I'm asking him a question so he has a crack at me. But you stoke the best midfield of the Crows against Collingwood's. It doesn't stack up.
I would disagree. I think that there is a lot of improvement in this group, and what I'm really excited about is, yes, the experienced players that we've got there in place, but you're going to see an enormous amount of development in these younger players over the next... I would definitely say this summer, but particularly over the early part of next season, you're going to see some really exciting kids improve really quickly. We've got to develop these young players and fast-track them into an AFL system. And I would disagree with you. I think we're going to be able to challenge those better sides quicker than what you think.
Well done. Brenton Sanderson, the new Crows coach, is in the studio. We need to take a break, but we'll be back with more. Don't go away.